Hi, you're listening to the NewSpace India podcast, a bi weekly talk show that exclusively brings insights from the Indian space activities ecosystem. I'm your host, Narayan, the co founder of India's first space focused think tank, Spaceport Sarabhai. Guests on the NewSpace India podcast help you understand space activities related macro and micro trends within India in all aspects, including space history, local industry, space science, technology evolution, law and policy, art, and more. The NewSpace India podcast is supported by Dassault Systèmes, a global leader in providing businesses and people with collaborative virtual environments to enable sustainable innovations. Dassault Systèmes solutions support startups, small and medium scale enterprises, and original equipment manufacturers in developing disruptive solutions for space launchers and satellites.
I am Nilamani Mohanty. I am a space telecommunication expert. I retired Deputy Director, Space Application Center, Ahmedabad. I was born in Baleswar, which is in North Odisha. My father was a renowned advocate. My mother was a very progressive lady. She was a daughter of Revenue Minister of Mayurbhanj district. She gave equal importance in raising her sons and daughters. I studied in Baleswar Jilla School and Fakir Mohan College, after which I went to Ravindra College, Cuttack for BSc Honours in Physics. I graduated from Ravindra First Class First in Physics Honours in 1959. I applied and got admission in Institute of Science, Bangalore, in Department of Electrical Communication Engineering for a 3-year BE followed by 1-year ME. I completed BE in 62 and ME in 1963. I specialized in microwave engineering. At IISc Bangalore, my Master's of Engineering study was 9 months, theory class, followed by 6 months of practical training and project work. I worked in the Microwave Division of National Physical Laboratory, Delhi, for my practical training as a Senior Research Fellow. The fellowship was given by CSIR, Government of India. I completed my ME, specializing in microwave engineering in 1963. In 1964, I was selected for the German Academic Exchange Service Fellowship by the German government. I flew to Frankfurt, West Germany in June 1964. I first went to Berlin to learn German language at the Goethe Institute for 4 months. I then went to Technical University of Braunschweig to do advanced research in microwaves under guidance of Professor H.G. Unger. I conducted research in dielectric antennas. The university organized educational tours to Paris and Berlin for researchers at the university. I also visited Hanover, Hamburg, etc. While at TU Braunschweig, I played tennis with a fellow researcher, Frank Sporleder, at the university tennis courts. Frank Sporleder took me to meet his parents in a village, which gave me some insight into German village life and their church. Frank's father used to play the organ at the local church during Mass or prayer hours. They have some farm land. I forgot the name of the village, but it was clean with well-laid roads for trucks and cars to move. At the end of my fellowship period, my professor asked me if I wanted to pursue a PhD work or join industry. I told him that I want to work in an industry. So I left the university in October 1965. I worked in a design laboratory at Group Atlas Electronic in Bremen for 2 years, 3 months. I worked on marine radar design at Group. One of my colleagues in Group Atlas took me to his hometown in Bremen on the west coast. While returning from Germany, I came by a ship because the Suez Canal was closed. So I had to take a detour around South Africa and come up again towards Bombay and reach Bombay. It was a long journey for 1 month. I crossed the equator twice, and when a ship crosses the equator, they celebrate on the ship, which is very interesting. I had to experience that twice because I had to come down and again move up on the latitude in the map. The way I met Vikram Sarabhai is an interesting story. The Indian Embassy in Germany had advertised for a post of microwave engineer in India. I responded to the advertisement that led me to Ahmedabad and Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. He was the director of Physical Research Laboratory, Ahmedabad. I went to PRL for my interview. There was a technical committee that interviewed me for the post. After I was cleared by the committee, I went to meet Dr. Sarabhai for final approval of my selection. Dr. Vikram Sarabhai was a Renaissance man. His wife was a famous classical dancer, Nilamani Sarabhai. So he asked me a question about Nilamani Mohanty, who was a popular Odissi dancer and working lecturer in zoology in Lucknow University. I was a little surprised by this question, but then I understood why this relation between his wife and Priyambada comes. Both are classical dancers, so he was aware about Priyambada as he has interest in arts, architecture, etc. He is a multiple interest man. He is a Renaissance man. He has multiple interests, and that included art and architecture. Dr. Sarabhai told me that I have to work on technology development, teaching, training, project management, and setting up new laboratories. It was a very broad canvas that included multitasking. He had faith in my abilities. He was clear in his mind what a postgraduate engineer with advanced research experience in German university and practical design experience in German company can do. Dr. Sarabhai hired me into Department of Atomic Energy, where ISRO did not exist then. ISRO was later incorporated in 1972. I joined the SKS project in Ahmedabad, also known as Experimental Satellite Communication Application. Within a few months of my work at SKS in 1967, I was made Chief of Training Division. I conducted training programs for ITU, International Telecommunication Union, for engineers from India, including SKS engineers, and engineers from other countries such as Indonesia, Iran. The SKS station was bought from NEC Japan with ITU funding of $1 million. In 1968, I established a micro laboratory for the ITU trainees, which was later used by our engineers for development of antenna, low-noise amplifier, and other equipment for our stations. I also designed and set up India's first anechoic chamber to test antennas indoors. Later, I set up outdoor antenna test range where C-band and S-band 3-meter parabolic reflector antenna were tested for the radiation pattern and gain. In earlier days, there was no security restriction in SKS, so families and friends visited SKS and enjoyed picnic-like atmosphere in the green lawns of SKS. And they used to spend whole day there, enjoy the picnic, and then went back to their homes. The Department of Atomic Energy was given the responsibility to execute a major project setting up SATCOM application for overseas communication service of Government of India. The OCS project provided various telecommunication services and TV service via satellite for the first time in the country. Dr. Sarabhai did not allow import of satellite communication application. He said our engineers with SATCOM experience should build this application. The SKS team was given the responsibility to build the application with a 28-meter diameter parabolic reflector fully steerable antenna. A servo control system for the antenna was designed and built by BARC, led by Dr. Seshadri. This was the first time technology development in India. In 1969, transmit and receive chain equipment in C-band were imported from RCA Corporation in Montreal, Canada. I was in Montreal for testing and accepting all the artisan equipments made by RCA. While I was in Montreal, I saw live coverage of the first human landing on the moon, Apollo 11. During installation and commissioning of phase of artisan antenna and transmit receive equipment, The SKS team was living in government quarters in a village called RV, located on the Pune-Nasik highway. We worked 12 to 14 hours daily to complete the project, but we enjoyed our stay there. We had a makeshift canteen arrangement. Canteen manager Pasita took good care of us with good food made and supplied, fed the families of the team. We had vineyard nearby. During our free time, we would go to the vineyards and eat grapes from there many times. At night, after completing the day's work, I drove an office van with some of my colleagues to go to see Hindi films in a small cinema hall with a thatched roof. The Army Satellite Communication Station project, ASCOM, was commissioned in February 1971 and handed over to OCS team of the Government of India for telecom and color TV services to the nation. Villagers of RB did not know about satellite communication. They used to say a big radar system is being installed there at RB. I moved to Delhi with my family in October 1974. I was appointed project manager to set up a low-cost SATCOM earth station to participate in the satellite instructional television experiment site. Professor E.V. Chitnis was the program manager for site. Site was an experimental satellite communication project launched in India in 1975, designed jointly by NASA and ISRO. The project was designed to broadcast educational television programs to 2,400 remote villages across 6 states in India. During the site project, Delhi Earth Station was used for morning and evening daily broadcasts of Doordarshan News live. It was also used to live broadcast special events such as Republic Day Parade and Independence Day celebrations. Other educational programs were uplinked from Ahmedabad Earth Station daily for 2 hours in different languages like Odia, Gujarati, Telugu, Marathi, Hindi in morning during school hours. ISRO set up Development Educational Communication Unit DECU for site project. Kiran Karnik was director DECU. Before DECU was recreated for 1 year during site project, TV programs of school children were produced by external film studios in Bombay and Ahmedabad. TV signals from NASA's ATS-6 satellite were received by a 10-feet diameter chicken mesh antenna in low noise amplifier, a down converter and a demodulator. This chicken mesh antenna was designed by me and a mechanical engineer at SKS. It was tested at SKS outdoor antenna testing range by me. Results were confirmed by testing one such antenna at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center near Washington, D.C., USA. Electronics Corporation of India Limited, Hyderabad. They also mass-produce electronic units of DRS designed by our engineers at Electronic Systems Division, Ahmedabad. During site project, faulty front-end units of DRS were repaired at Delhi Earth Station and Ahmedabad Earth Station. Faulty DRS units from northern states were sent to Delhi and from the rest of the country to Ahmedabad. I visited different places in and around Delhi to find a site for SATCOM earth station with Professor E.V. Chitnis. During the exploratory trips, we got to see people playing Holi. We finally chose a plot near Malcha Mahal, an old stone palace of Sardar Patel Marg near Rashtrapati Bhavan. Malcha Mahal is a Tughlaq era hunting lodge in Chanakyapuri area of New Delhi. As there are big rocks in that area, while building foundation of 10-meter antenna, we have to use dynamite to blast the big rocks in the middle of night so that other people are not disturbed. The NASA team appreciated the effort by my project team in setting up Delhi Earth Station for site in such a short time. We linked Delhi Doordarshan studio with our Earth Station with underground cable and completed the project by 1st August 75 to start TV broadcast from Delhi using American satellite ATS-6. This experiment continued for 1 year, from August 1975 to July 1976, for which NASA had moved the ATS-6 satellite for views over India. I was the project director of ISRO's Insat Satellite Communication Application. My team's job was to design, develop and deploy the ground segment for Insat operation at Master Control Facility, Hassan. My senior colleague Dr. Pramod Kade was the project director for the Insat MCA project that started in 1979. It was the first of its kind high-tech project with a tight time schedule for its completion. My team's role was design and set up MCF application with two 14-meter C-band antennas and one 6-meter S-band receive-only antenna. We also provided standby diesel generator and static inverter and battery bank to provide so-called no-break power supply system. The servo control and drive system for the antenna was designed and supplied by Dr. Seshadri from BARC, BARC, Bhava Atomic Research Center. Dr. Seshadri was the head of servo control system division at BARC. He and his team had designed servo control systems for BAE's atomic energy power systems. The approved budget for MCF application was 20 crore rupees, but we saved 5 crore rupees and returned it to ISRO. And Sampath was in charge of budget management. In 1982, completion of Insat MCF project for Satish Dhawan, Chairman ISRO, came to Hassan to inaugurate the project and to inaugurate telemetry telecom station, first of its kind in India. So Dhawan said during inauguration, Mohanty was the first one in ISRO to save project money and return it to ISRO. It gave me great satisfaction that project finance and schedule monitoring helped us to achieve this, which was a team effort. We actually reduced import of some equipment. That is how we saved some money. MCF was used to orbit raising maneuvers and monitoring of Insat series satellites. Other countries also leased MCF facility later on for their satellite monitoring and orbit management. A second MCF has been later on created in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Commissioned by Government of India, built by Ford Aerospace and operated by Indian National Satellite System, Insat 1A was based upon a custom satellite bus developed for Insat 1 series. NASA was contracted to launch Insat 1A. It was launched in April 1982 from Cape Canaveral using a Delta rocket. Following launch, Insat 1A had some initial problems deploying the antennas, solar array and stabilization boom. The C-band antenna could not be deployed for 12 days. The solar array failed to extend fully, preventing the spacecraft generating enough power to conduct weather observation. The satellite S-band transponder subsequently overheated and failed. The stabilization boom failed to deploy altogether. I visited Ford Aerospace facility in Palo Alto during those days. During my tenure at Space Application Center, number of new technologies were developed to reduce weight and power consumption of communication payloads for Insat series satellites. The lifespan of these satellites in orbit was 10 to 15 years. One such technology was C-band receiver using MMIC, monolithic microwave integrated circuit technology. To design MMIC using MMIC technology, we sent two young engineers to Philips Fabrication facility in Paris. Philips agreed to design, fabricate space-qualified C-band receivers based on our requirements and also trained two of our engineers. Reduction of satellite weight resulted in reduction reduce launch costs. So Chairman Dr. Kasturangan appreciated my initiative to take up such a challenge to reduce weight and power consumption of insert payload. Our dedicated, talented electronic microwaves and mechanical engineers successfully developed in C-band 3 kilowatt ground transmitters, tracking receivers, up converters, down converters for ground applications. 3 kilowatt C-band high power amplifier technology was transferred to Electronics Corporation of India Limited, Hyderabad. C-band transmit receive feed was imported from NEC Japan and integrated with two 14-meter parabolic reflector antenna made by private companies in Madras and Bombay. All these artisans' technologies were designed and developed for the first time. As a result, valuable foreign exchange was saved. Increasing design development activities at SAC called setting up a bigger thermovac chamber and other test facilities. A high-power testing laboratory was also set up. The SAC campus had 90 acres of land. It was full, so a second campus with 35 acres of land was taken in Bhopal, outskirts of Ahmedabad in 1999-2000. In Bhopal, we also set up a UN Center for Education and Space Communications from Asia Pacific countries. UN Center headquarters was in Dehradun, North India. I served as a faculty for the UN Training Center in Ahmedabad, where we trained engineers and scientists from Middle East and Asia Pacific countries such as Iran, Syria, Uzbekistan, Mongolia, South Korea, and Indonesia. I was course director for training program on observation technologies and their applications in satellite communications. Applications included tele-education, telemedicine, direct-to-home TV, search and rescue, disaster management, networking of banks, and education institutions like IITs, NITs in our country. The training duration for this course was 3 months. International hostel with modern facilities for these trainees in Bhopal, Ahmedabad was also available. My wife Sanjukta and I used to invite these international trainees to our home in Ahmedabad for celebrating festivals such as Diwali, Makar Sankranti. We also took them sightseeing in Ahmedabad. The cultural exchange was fun and we got to know about each other's countries, cuisines, costumes and other cultural artifacts. As part of the celebrations of 10 years of establishment of Space Application Center, there was an open house where an exhibition was organized on SAC campus to showcase with public various activities of SAC. People from Ahmedabad and other nearby places came to see the exhibition where SAC activities were shown for a decade. I suggested that we bring out popular science books for school and college students. I also suggested that we organize essay painting and quiz competition for our employees, children of different age groups. Professor Chittis, for director of SAC, liked this idea and approved my suggestions. I edited 2 books on space. One was a black and white with the title Opening the Window to Space. This is the book. It also shows the escapes in Ahmedabad. This book had 9 chapters. I also contributed to one of the chapters in this book. It was a foreword by Professor E.V. Chitnis, Director of Space Application Center. It had chapters on what is satellite, how does rockets work, weather satellite, eminent space scientists, space research in India, United Nations and outer space. Very interesting chapters on different aspects of space in this book, which was published in 1982. The second book, which I edited, had the title Our Tryst with Space. It had colored photographs unlike the first one which had black and white photographs. And this came out in 1992 with a foreword by Professor Pramod Kade, director of our center, and a preface by me in that book. It shows also an atlas map with space centers and units in India. Different places like Jodhpur, Udaipur, Ahmedabad, Kharagpur, Nagpur, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Thiruvananthapuram, Lucknow, New Delhi, etc. Besides chapters on subjects like space technology for development and education by Dr. Vinod Agarwal, SATCOM in India, past, present and future by me, applications of space technology in day-to-day life, Pramod Kade, remote sensing of natural resources using satellites, Arup Dasgupta, and micro-remote sensing, a new frontier by Dr. Garudachar Raju. Annual competition in essay writing, painting and quiz for SAC employee children had an excellent response and continued year after year. On the day of competition, both parents were allowed to access to SAC campus. The participating families enjoyed their day, and the competition results were always announced at Vikram Hall, and prizes were distributed to the winners. My colleagues, Mr. S.C. Ghosh, helped me in organizing these events every year till I retired and left SAC. Ahmedabad changed over the years that we lived there for about 30 years. The road built by Department of Atomic Energy connecting Nehru Circle with SKS was popularly known as Satellite Road. That name has stuck. There was hardly any traffic on that road between 1967 and 1975. By the time I left Ahmedabad in 2003, it has become a very busy road. A number of apartments, bungalows, shops, clinics, and temples had come up along the road. Department of Space Colony Bastrapur, known as US Colony, was set up in Bastrapur near to accommodate SAC staff in 1982. A Kendriya Vidyalaya school was started for children of SAC, PRL, and CISF staff members. A big playground for students and a hall for different functions at the school were also built. There was a dispensary and maintenance office in the campus. People living in the quarters had camaraderie and harmony. Department of Space Colony was very close to IIM Ahmedabad. The second IIM Ahmedabad campus has now come up in the agriculture fields facing main gate of our DOS colony. Our children grew up in a peaceful and friendly atmosphere. My daughters Susmita, Manisha and Namrata grew up in DOS colony. From there, Susmita went to France to join International Space University. Manisha and Namrata went to USA for their masters. Manisha went to Virginia Tech. Namrata went to UCLA.
Thank you for listening in to this episode of the NewSpace India podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share this episode with anyone you believe will enjoy listening to it. You'll be able to find the NewSpace India podcast in any of the podcasting platforms that you may be using, including Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and others. Do subscribe to the podcast in case you want to receive new episodes automatically. I'm grateful if you're able to leave a rating for the podcast, which will help others discover it. Thank you for listening in again, and the next episode will be out in the next 2 weeks as usual.